In the name of Allah, the Rahman and the Rahim, who taught man by means of the pen. Dear students and viewers, Assalamu alaikum. Welcome you all in today's lecture. Topic for today's lecture discussion is devices of foregrounding. Dear students, we have defined that what is foregrounding and what are the effects or functions of foregrounding in our previous lecture. So dear students, in today's lecture, we are studying the devices of foregrounding, that how we can bring foregrounding effects in literary texts, or how writers using for the creation of foregrounding, what are the sources, what are the tools or devices are used by the writers and authors in literary text to bring foregrounding effects in order to make literary text very beautiful, clear and vivid. Dear students, for foregrounding effects, basically two tools or devices are used. The first one is deviation and the second one is parallelism. Dear students, we know that foregrounding is the opposite of background. Okay, when we want to highlight something, when we want to give extra color to something, to modify something, then we use, our writer are using this tool or this term foregrounding. So basically, the purpose of foregrounding means to deviate something, to bring some change, or to bring newness, novelty in a literary text in order to make it beautiful and clear and interesting, eye-catching, captivating for the readers and for the readers and for the people who are using literary text. Dear students, we are using language outside literature as well as in our daily life. Outside literature, so the assumption goes, language tends to be automatized, like routine life language, routine language is used, mundane language is used, ordinary language is used. Okay, automatization occur, automatization means normal language is used. Okay, no newness occurs. Yes, and structure and meanings are used routinely. Yes, within literature. However, this is opposed by devices that are used to bring automatism with which language is read, processed, or understood. So, generally, two such devices may be distinguished, that is deviation and parallelism. And like in literature, we are bringing some newness, some de-automatization in for the artistic effects. So deviation is used and parallelism is used. Deviation corresponds to the traditional idea of poetic license, that the writer of literature is allowed, in contrast to the everyday speaker, to deviate from rules, maxims, and conventions. These may involve the language as well as literary traditions and are expectations set up by the text. Dear students, like in literature, especially in poetry, writers, poets, they have poetic license. They can bring the rules of grammar, the rules of structure, the rules of syntax, the rules of morphemes and morphology. Okay, so they have poetic license. They are free to break these rules, to deviate. Okay, to make deviation in rules. So for the artistic effects, they are breaking these such rules. Okay, the strict rules are broken by the writers, especially by the poets. So deviation occurs. So now what are the results of deviations? The result is some degree of surprise in the reader, and his or her attention is thereby drawn to the form of the text rather than to its content. Dear students, like in deviation, effects are important. Attention is taken by the writer. Okay, attention of the reader is taken. So attention of the reader is very important. This deviation brings for the purpose of attention of the reader. So that's why their focus, the writer's focus in deviation is not on the content, on the message, but the ways in which it is conveyed to the reader. Dear students, these are the effects. Like interest is developed, yes, monotony is avoided, novelty is created, newness is brought by the writer. Deviation in linguistic means breaking of rules which others obey. Yes, to break the rules, okay, read by the experts. So to break the rules, to avoid the rules in order to bring artistic effects in literary text. Poetry in poetic language is deviation. Yes, poetry is the best example of deviation, dear students. Poetry is there is a deviation in poetic language. So it's different in many ways from ordinary language. So that's why poetry and poetic language is deviant language. It's a new form of language. It's artistic language. It's a skillful arrangement of words. Best words in best order will be there in poetry. So that's why in poetry, appealing is there, attention of the reader is taken by the poetic language, and poets, readers, emotions are aroused due to the reading or reciting of the poetry, of the verses of the poetry, of the poems. Another tool, another device for this purpose is parallelism. Parallelism means similar or parallel structure between two or more structures in order to create artistic effects in literary text. So dear students, we have two devices for foregrounding effects. The first one is deviation and the second one is parallelism. Thanks for watching, dear students. If you have any difficulty, any problem, you are welcome to ask questions. Thanks. Assalamu alaikum.